What's going on, guys? Jaxx the Bearded Hiker here. BBQ Spaghetti on the KUDU Grill. I'm going to show you how I do it. So I'm going to throw this out there right now. You don't have to own the KUDU Grill or any grill for that matter. You can certainly do this on your stove at home. I do it all the time. Let's get busy. All right, so I'm going to leave a list of ingredients in the description. Just click on the show more. I'm going to start out here with one onion and 1 green bell pepper. Now, to this recipe, this recipe is kind of made for leftover barbecue meats that you have. Now, I don't have any leftover brisket, but I do have ground brisket. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out with this ground brisket that I have, and I'm going to add, this is 1 pound. But I also have 1 pound, been defrosting it, 1 pound of pulled pork. And this is already cooked, so we'll be adding this at the end, okay? So for now, let's brown this brisket up with the onions and bell pepper. So basically what we're wanting to do is just brown this or gray this meat up, because we don't want to overcook these onions and stuff. We just kind of want them translucent. So by the time that, you know, these onions and bell peppers get a little translucent or soft, this meat will be done, and then we'll move on to the next step. So this recipe actually derived from a backpacking buddy or a hammock camper, a fellow hammock camper named Babblefish 5. Now this is not his exact recipe, but it's pretty close. And what I do is I usually take this meal here and make it up, and then I dehydrate it and take it backpacking with me. Now I just want to say, for any of you hikers watching this, if you're gonna do this, you're definitely gonna not use pulled pork. I would stick to more ground pork or ground beef or ground brisket. And you got to make sure you rinse it off before you dehydrate. Make sure all that fat is off of it. So we're pretty softened up here, so I'm going to add the rest of our ingredients. So let's add our spices. We got 1 tablespoon of cumin going in there. In here I have 3 tablespoons of chili powder. I like to use Gebhardt's, by the way. I'll leave a link in the description. It's my favorite chili powder. Also 2 tablespoons of black pepper. In here I have 3 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce and 2 tablespoons of liquid smoke. Just give that a stir. Just mix all them spices in. A minute. Ooh, that looks good. Looks like you could put this on a chili, right? 1 6-ounce can of tomato paste. Now, before somebody out there tries to school me on, hey, you know, if you take the bottom off, you can squeeze it through. Well, I get you. I do that all the time, or I used to do it all the time. But I have a can opener that actually just opens the top, so you can actually put that lid back on. That's why I can't do that. 1 cup of beef broth. All right, very important here. I'm going to throw this 2 cups of barbecue sauce in here real quick, but I want to tell you something about this barbecue sauce, and it's kind of important that you pay attention here, because if you don't, you're gonna ruin it. All right, so the barbecue sauce that I'm using is this right here. It's called Pig Stand. All right, so Pig Stand it has very little sugar in it. I would say this is more of a savory style barbecue sauce. I mean, if you had this, you probably wouldn't even think it was barbecue sauce. But you must use this, all right? But before we go on, I'm going to add some barbecue sauce. Now, this is the sweet barbecue sauce. I'm using Broswell's Barbecue Honey Habanero. That will be our barbecue sweetness that's coming in. Now, I know that a lot of people may not have that Pig Stand barbecue sauce. And that's okay. I'll leave a link in the description. You can get it on Amazon. Sometimes I do, because it's hard for me to find it around here. But now listen, if you can't get Pig Stand barbecue sauce, okay, what I would recommend is When you get this going, put the barbecue sauce in at the end and just add a little bit at a time until you get the sweetness and the right barbecue flavor that you're looking for. All right, so what I want to say about Pig Stand is it's kind of like a Cajun thing. If you live in Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, maybe some places in Florida, basically the Gulf Coast, you shouldn't have any problems finding Pig Stand barbecue sauce. But again, I strongly recommend to use the Pig Stand just because it gives it such a great flavor. Next up, 10 ounces or a 10-ounce can or 2 10-ounce cans of Rotel's or Rotel tomato hot. You see this brand here? I got one of those. That's the hot one. And I like to also use this one if you can find it. It's the fire roasted. So 2 cans of Rotel. 1 can, 15-ounce can of tomato sauce. So we're just gonna stir all this in. We're gonna bring it up to a boil. Once we get it to a boil, we're gonna lift it up off the coals and then simmer it for 20 minutes. So we're at a nice simmer here. So now what you do is we're gonna wait, give it one last stir. Then we're gonna start our timer and we're gonna let it simmer for 20 minutes. And while that's going on, we're gonna put our pasta on to boil. We're gonna use the whole packet of pasta, which I believe is it 16 ounces? Yep, I was right, 16 ounces. So it's been 20 minutes. We're ready to add in our pulled pork. And this is actually a Jägermeister pulled pork that I did. I got a video on that. I'll leave a link here in the cards there if you want to go check it out. It's delicious. All right, so we're going to just stir this in, and then we're going to let it keep simmering for about another 10 minutes or so. All right, so our pasta is done. We're about ready. You can see we're up off the heat a little bit. We're going to start adding. Now, a couple of tips here. Depending on, I did not shake my pasta, which means there's a little bit of liquid in here. So pro tip, guys, if you find this is a little thick for you, like this, it's a little thick, just don't shake off your pasta. It's going to add some moisture to it. And what I like to do is just add a little bit of pasta at a time rather than just throw this whole thing in there. Just to kind of, you know, some people like, you know, a lot of saucy spaghetti. Some people like a thick spaghetti. So what I like to do is just kind of add, stir, see what kind of consistency I like. And another tip, pro tip here is, what I did when I went to boil this pasta, I broke my pasta in half, okay? But if you're a backpacker and you're gonna be dehydrating this, pro tip, break it into thirds. If you're a backpacker, you'll know exactly why I told you to do that. Let's So I think I've done enough. I got, whoops, about that much pasta left. Just about that much, a little handful. That was like the 20-second rule here. But look, I'm only serving this to me and my wife. So, nothing fancy. Here we go. Ooh. All right, again, guys, I'm going to leave a link in the description to thebeardedhiker.com where you can go get a printable version of this recipe. I'll also leave the ingredient list in the description. If you've never had barbecue spaghetti before, you need to make sure that you give this a go. If you don't have Pig Stand barbecue sauce and you're having to use another one, remember what I said earlier. Be careful adding that barbecue sauce. I don't work for Pig Stand BBQ. I'm not affiliated with them whatsoever. I just happen to like their product. All right, guys, barbecue spaghetti on your KUDU Grill or any other heat source for that matter. Do it.